Okay, guys, Nunu got buffed and this champion is absolute disgustingly strong. Wow. There are a few champions I always ban, and Nunu is one of them. What champions do I hate the most? I hate Karma, I hate Yumi, I hate Vayne, and Nunu. Those are the champions you need to ban, at least in high elo for me. And Nunu's so strong right now. He's a super ganker like Lee Sin, and he's super tanky. So in high elo, this is a top pick right now. And hey, what's up guys? Professor Breaker is here. You guys might be wondering, how is Professor Breaker so knowledgeable about this game? Let me introduce you to today's sponsor. It's gonna be wildstats.gg, an analytics performance based platform. This is super helpful. You can check out all the pro players and their stats, their favorite champions and their win rate on those champions. So the number one player right here, it's going to be Vex in the European leaderboard. And you can see he's playing Kha'Zix, Camille, and Jax. You can also just check your own player, your own player profile and see, hey, I'm playing these type of champions and these are my stats. And what's most important, you can check out the best champions in the leaderboard or the best champions in the server for your own rank. What rank are you? Then different time stats, and then also for different roles, and then you can sort by KDA, pick rate, win rate, and games. So this is super interesting. Check out the link down below. This website is super useful when it comes down to informations and analytic stats. Professor Breaker is here for another new tier list for the patch 3.1A. Hope you guys will enjoy this tier list. A few changes here and there and some new hot picks you guys definitely need to try out for yourself. And before we're starting, I always make the disclaimer. First of all, this is a subjective tier list. I will try to give you my input and my thoughts about all of these champions in depth. So best case, you listen to everything I'm saying so you guys will understand my thoughts and why I'm putting each champion where. And sometimes they will be higher if you are really skilled on that certain champion, like a one-trick pony. And on top of that, if you guys enjoyed my tier list so far, because I can definitely tell you guys love these tier lists, a lot of people are watching them, then make sure to leave a like if you guys enjoyed them and subscribe if you guys don't want to miss out on future content. Okay, patch 3.2 is coming out soon. Okay, not that soon, but if you guys don't want to miss out on future content, daily content, then definitely subscribe as well. And let's get started with the Baron Lane tier list. S plus tier. I think the best solo queue champion in the Baron Lane right now with the best 1 versus 9 hard carry potential is Darius right now. Didn't change from the last tier list. He is still, I think, one of the biggest threats in solo queue when he gets going. He is super strong. Some champions can kite him like a Vayne, maybe a Lucian, but in most cases he is a strong frontliner and he has the carry potential. He gets the Noctis Might, he gets the reset, and then everyone is just dead. His carry potential is just crazy, and even if you don't have items, just having the true damage from the ultimate, having that Noxus Might giving you additional AD just makes him crazy good in team fights. Then we have the likes of Fiora and Camille. I think those two champions are very good split pushers, great duelists. I would say Camille is better in team fights. She has the pick off potential with the ultimate. She has the roam potential with her hook shots. She can rotate between the maps super quickly. And having the ultimate in those team fights to catch those hyper carry ADCs, which are stronger right now in the patch thanks to the Stormrazor buff, Camille becomes really good Baron laner that doesn't get kited too hard by the likes of Vayne or Lucian or Corki or Ezreal. So that's why I like Camille. And obviously she's very good at split pushing. Using the Hullbreaker build, you can split push super well. Or you can go for a more teamfight orientated build with maybe Sunras, Darrock's Gage, Death Dance, and then some tanky items. So this champion has a lot of item variations or different item paths. Same for Fiora. You can build her like a hard split pusher, going for the Hullbreaker, going for the Trinity and the Blade of the Rune King. And in a duel, 1v1, she is absolute unstoppable if you play her correctly. Also in teamfights, once you get going and you have like a 2 or 3k gold lead, she can become super strong in teamfights. Obviously, she doesn't have those utility tools like other champions. She isn't the greatest frontliner, but she provides you with tons of damage. And if you get ahead, and usually you get ahead as a Fiora, because she's one of the best snowballing champions and insane in a 1v1. So if you master Fiora, Camille, I think those champions just, yeah, you just feel really good because you're just beating people up one versus one, and you're just, I think that's what Baron laner love to do. They love to dominate the opponent laner and just shit on them. So if you guys want to be a playmaker, you want to be fancy, you want to be a high skill ceiling champion, go for that Fiora and go for the Camille and try to learn those two champions. Those are my two favorite champions, by the way. Then Set. Set is very, very strong in the lane. He is tanky as well. He has great crowd control, using the ultimate, having the third ability to pull people and stun them, having that second ability for the shield and for the true damage. Set is just overall a really, really great Juggernaut. Same for Darius. While Darius is more like a hyper carry Juggernaut, Set is more like a utility tanky Juggernaut, but he's also very, very strong in those teamfights, doing tons of damage. And he can be good duelist as well if you guys want to go for the Blade of the Rune King into Black Cleaver. Maybe run Hullbreaker, but usually I would go on him a teamfight based build. But yeah, next one is gonna be Renekton. Honestly, Renekton got buffed with those changes going for, I mean, Blade, Black Cleaver, Sterix Gauge, Death Dance. You have a lot of AD and you will have way more healing now in the late game compared to before. Obviously, this might hurt him a little bit in the early game, but overall, his team fighting is much better now with the changes. I already had him S+ tier beforehand. He's a great duelist, he's a great frontline, and he's great in team fights. And he has decent gap closing abilities with his double dash, and he can stun opponents. So Renekton S+ tier in my opinion. Nasus, hey, I kind of overhyped him a little bit in the last tier list because I wanted to clickbait. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's very good if you know how to play him. I don't see that many people play Nasus. I think the main issue when it comes to Nasus is he's kind of scaling, obviously. And you want to join teamfights early on, and if you don't join teamfights early on and your teammates are losing, then you might have the issue that the game is already over before you can start stacking. I think that was one of the main reasons I always put him kind of lower. Definitely the Hullbreaker build makes him absolutely, he level 10 plus, he becomes an unstoppable monster for majority of champions in a 1v1, and he becomes very tanky, he has tons of damage, he can take turrets super quickly. If you don't stop him, he just takes the turrets, and 1v1 you're probably gonna lose against him. And in teamfights, he is a great frontliner, and the second ability, slowing people down and reducing their attack speed is just crazy, by the way. So Nasus, I'm just gonna put a solid S tier. I think the major issue is just that he needs to scale. The other champions are much better in the early game, but Nasus is a champion that needs to scale before he gets going. And trust me, if you have an O10 bot lane in 5 minutes, you're not going to win as a Nasus anymore. So that's the major downside that the other champions might not have, because they're stronger in the early game. They can snowball and then they can rotate and then they can help out. Solid S tier. If you're a Nasus prodigy, S+, I guess, but a solid S tier, that's fine. I mean, guys, you know, I need to clickbait. Sometimes we just have to clickbait Nasus S+ tier or something. So you guys are like, wow, woo! I need to click on that one. You got baited last time. I mean, if I did, I just slightly overhype them. It's just for the video. You guys know me. Okay, next one's gonna be Garen. He's a very solid tank frontline. Does decent amount of damage, but the Thunderer meta is definitely hurting him because everyone can sustain and heal whenever they hit a tanky Garen so much. So the Thunder item is very good against tanks, so it's a nerf on the Garen pick. Riven, pretty strong pick after the buff on the shield and the Death Dance changes. A solid S tier, kind of snowball reliant, but if you're a great duelist and high skill, and you love those high skill ceiling champions and you're proficient on that Riven, no hell limits, know those matchups, then Riven, a solid S tier, and if you snowball hard and you can carry super well. Wukong, good teamfight, base champion, you can run the Sandra Black Cleaver build, makes him strong as a duelist as well, and he has the teamfight value, obviously. A very skilled Aurelia can be obnoxious. I think she does pretty solid in most matchups, and it's a skill-based matchup since Aurelia is such a high skill ceiling champion. If you know your limits, if you know how to snowball, then Aurelia can be a beast, both in the mid lane and in the Baron lane. Jace. Jace is still a solid poking champion, great in the lane, and late game he's scaling like a truck, but everyone is just becoming so tanky, so he really needs his time, needs those 3 items to become really strong. And otherwise, I guess his laning phase is kind of tricky, that you need to learn how to kite and freeze and zone and harass at max range. Gragas, a very consistent AP top laner. You can go full AP, you can go hybrid, you can go full tank. Great option if you guys need more AP damage, and overall he does solid in most matchups. Obviously he's probably not gonna kill someone 1v1 and he's not gonna snowball, but he provides tons of utility in those team fights, and he can poke people down, he can catch people with an ultimate, and he can dash, slam them, and stun them. Next one is gonna be Diana. I think she is... the champion itself is just so strong in solo queue. Not necessarily in the Baron lane, but the champion itself is just so strong that it works in the Baron lane. Not in most matchups, but not in some matchups, but majority of the time you can do pretty solid if you go for the... what's the name of the item again? The armor AP item. That is, this is pretty good in the Baron lane. And she does overall pretty solid. And the main thing is in teamfights she can just carry super hard. So if you guys want some AP damage in general, then go for the Diana pick. And she's a great hyper carry in those teamfights. Jax, solid split pusher. He definitely... his early game is just so weak. That's what I don't like about Jax. He has so many bad matchups. So many champions bully him. Sett shits on him. Fiora shits on him. Camille in the early game also shits on him. And then you have some matchups like Nasus outscales you, for example. But Fiora and Sett are so popular and they just counter you so hard. So, I mean, Sett kinda... you outscale Sett, but in the early game, wow, the laning phase of Jax is so bad in the early game. Yes, you outscale, you scale very hard and you can become a hyper carry, but his laning phase is just so bad. That's why I'm just putting him S tier. Shen, I think his laning phase is definitely not that good in comparison to other champions. He loses some matchups and he has a hard time in the early game. The thing is, I think he works better in competitive compared to solo queue, just because of the synergy and the timing with the ultimate. Sometimes you use ultimate on someone, they're just dead. You're just wasting your ultimate because you try to save someone, they just get caught and they already die before you even teleport to them. And if you teleport to them, there might be the issue that if you're playing against a split pusher, you're gonna lose the turret. So I feel like he's a better 5 versus 5 pick in competitive. So like a team-based champion, not necessarily hyper carry champions. So what do I put here? Darius, hyper carry champion. Fiora, hyper carry champion. Camille, these are hyper carry champions compared to a Shen. If you want to play solo queue, go for those hyper carry champions. Because those hyper carry champions will win you the game. While a Shen is more reliant on your teammates to do good. Obviously, you have some playmaking potential with the taunt, the ultimate, with the team fight advantage 5 versus 4. But you still rely on your teammates to do damage. Grace, kind of tricky. I know. I think I already explained it last time. Grace is a strong pick in the right hands, but I think the skill ceiling on Grace is pretty high. Majority of the people will. It's just A tier. There are only a few people that actually can make Grace work, but if you make him work, he's definitely like a S tier. But I'm just gonna put him a high A tier, A plus tier. Because he's very hard to make work. He's hard to make him work because I just feel like other champions can do his stuff easier, and Grace in the matchups you need to be really really good to make him work. Obviously, you can go for the Hullbreaker split pushing build. Some people just rush Hullbreaker and it's easier. But honestly, I've never seen a really, really good Grace player, like, except for random. How many good Grace players do you see in the Baron lane that you're like, wow, Graves is so strong, I can't lane against him, I can't do anything against him. In comparison, like, you can go for Fiora, Camille, and Jax. Those are like better duelists and split pushers. I think they're easier to execute than the Graves, that's why. Now Yasuo, Yasuo in the right hands can definitely be solid in the Baron lane as well, especially if you have the right team comp to set him up with the ultimates. Yeah, they buffed him a lot. Stormrazor Yasuo is so strong, to be fair, and he's scaling like a truck. If you're not inting and you do well in those early game skirmishes in the 1v1, and you have 3 items, you just become an absolute beast in those team fights. He definitely is a very, very strong hyper carry. Just some matchups are very, very hard for Yasuo. Let's see. I think Darius, Fiora, Set counter him. Renekton should counter him as well. Garen. I think Garen also is better. Otherwise, the others might be more skill-based, but yeah. Next one's gonna be Olaf. Situational pick. I think he's very, very solid. Especially if you're playing against tanky champions and team compositions where they have a lot of crowd control, then Olaf is a great pick. He's a great anti-crowd control champion and anti-tank champion because he has true damage and he has the ultimate to ignore crowd control. Akali is a strong assassin with great teamfight potential and great hard carry potential, but the downside is her 1v1 is not that strong, and her early game is definitely not that strong. So she will get punished by a bunch of champions, and I think in the mid lane she can do better than in the Baron lane. I mean, same explanation as last time. Cannon. Cannon is okay in the lane, but in teamfights, you would say, oh yeah, Cannon has the ultimate, he's so strong, but the ultimate does 0 damage. The ultimate is just so weak in comparison when he got released. So I don't think his carry potential is that good, and his early laning phase is fine, but after that he just gets outscared and he can never hold the lane against majority of the Baron laners. So yeah, better get that first blood early on. If you don't get the first blood, I don't think you can hold the lane. They just all dive you and kill you very easily 1v1. Akshan Hullbreaker. Akshan in the Baron lane, I think he can be a good counter into a bunch of matchups. But I'm not a fan of range ADCs in the Baron lane, because there's always the... If you get ganked and you fall behind, it's over. That's the downside of the Baron lane ADCs. And it's very easy to punish those champions, because they're very squishy and it's easy to dive them. Same explanation for Vayne and Lucian later on. But Akshan is harder to dive than or can escape easier than a Vayne or Lucian. Because of his heroic swing, he has invisibility as well. Yeah. Next one, Jarvan. Solid tank, great poke. Overall, just a solid laner. And great in teamfights. Pantheon, a snowballing champion in the early game. If you don't snowball, you just get outscared and you become useless. But if you snowball, you can definitely impact the map a lot with your ultimate and gank left and right. Tryndamere. I think the main issue about Tryndamere is that he has so many bad matchups and he's weak in the early game and he needs his core item to scale. But if you get going, you have those 3 core items, he becomes very strong. Malphite and Mundo, I'm gonna give you guys the same explanation. These champions are solid in the lane, but Thundera, the item, just counters them because every laner will just sustain out of them super easily, and those split pushers, you can hold them in the lane. So if you want to join those team fights, they will just keep pushing. And if you join those team fights, you lose 2 turrets, like a Jax. Let's for example say Jax goes Sunra, Blade of the Rune King. You can never win 1v1. If you move you move for like 30 seconds away to join a team fight, you lose 2 turrets. So if you don't even win those team fights, then you're just gonna give up 2 turrets, and Jax is gonna outscale you like a truck. For example, same applies against a Mundo. Next one, Alistair. Alistair, same explanation like for the tanks, but Alistair is, I think he can be pretty good into some matchups because he has the tankiness. He just you just stack armor and like a Riven can't do anything anymore, and you're great in team fights as well with a WQ combo. But in some matchups, you just get outscaled, they go Sundera, you can't hold them in the lane, they just keep pressuring, and you can draw. That's the issue. Singed. Not a lot of people can play Singed, and not a lot of people expect how to play against a Singed because they never see a Singed, but Singed can definitely be a cheesy pick, and he skates like a truck in the late game, but his early game is very weak. Like his laning phase is weak. I already gave you guys the explanation for Vayne and Lucian. I think those champions are very good in the 1v1 into some melee matchups to counter them. But the downside is, if the jungler wants to make your life a misery, then they will just spam gank you, dive you. What do? You can't play the game anymore. That's the downside of ADC top lane. If the enemy jungler, like Evelynn, Rengar, Lee Sin, they just gank you, you're 0-5. What do you do then? You're useless. Kayle, this champion is absolute giga trash. Giga trash. Don't play her. Don't play this champion in the Baron lane. Don't play her. She is so bad. Please don't play her. Rengar in the Baron lane is absolute ins. Only a one-trick pony can make him work in the Baron lane, but overall he's trying to cheese. If he doesn't cheese, he's useless. Next one, mid lane. Jungle. My bad, jungle. Okay, guys. Nunu got buffed and this champion is absolute disgustingly strong. Wow. There are a few champions I always ban, and Nunu is one of them. What champions do I hate the most? I hate Karma, I hate Yuumi, I hate Vayne, and Nunu. Those are the champions you need to ban, at least in high elo for me. And Nunu's so strong right now. He's a super ganker like Lee Sin, and he's super tanky. So in high elo, this is a top pick right now, and you guys need to learn him. He's very easy to play, and if you guys don't play him, then ban him. This champion in the right hands is disgusting, so must ban. He's like AP Lee Sin on he's like AP Lee Sin but tanky, and that's good. Because a lot of times you need a tanky frontline, and he provides you with the tankiness. He provides you with crowd control. He's a spam ganker with the snowball left and right. He's just so good. I always ban him just because of the crowd control. He's becoming a tanky beast that you can't kill anymore. Then Olaf. This champion is disgusting. If you guys play against an Olaf and he becomes he starts with 2-0, you guys know he's just gonna run you down. You can't stop him because he has the ultimate to ignore every crowd control. He's insane anti-tank. He's insane against crowd control. This champion, when I was grinding for Challenger, I was playing jungle. And which two champions did I play the most? Camille and Olaf. I love those two champions. They are so good. So Olaf, very good to abuse, very easy to play, and he's just insane hard carry. Next one is going to be Evelynn. If you are good on Evelynn, trust me, this champion, wow, I hate her. She is it's not even a low elo pick. In high elo, she works the same. She just snowballs super easily thanks to her invisibility, and she's very good at hyper carrying because she has so much damage. Jumps in, boom, one shot. Jumps in, boom, one shot. Boom, you dead. She ganks bot lane, gets two kills, ganks mid lane, ganks jungle, ganks bot lane again, Wow, she's 8-0 and she's snowballing the whole map, one-shotting everyone. And she has invisibility. So you don't have pink wards in Wild Rift. What do you do then? What do you do then when she's snowballing? You just actually I hate Evelyn. Dude, whenever I play against Evelyn, she just absolutely destroys the whole map, and I'm like, wow, I need to ban this champion. If you guys want to learn an assassin and carry the game, Evelyn is the go-to pick, honestly. Next one, Lee Sin and Kha'Zix. Those two are very good 1 vs 9 hyper carry champions. Ganking potential, insane, and they just one-shot you. They do so much damage, and they're insane at ganking and snowballing. So still S+ tier. Camille, a solid teamfight based champion with good hyper carry potential and great ganking potential with the ultimate. Master Yi, I think after the nerf, he is a solid S tier. He doesn't feel that broken anymore. I mean, yeah, if he gets going, he becomes an absolute beast, but get going first. And obviously, crowd control can counter him. So I'm just gonna put him S tier. I don't feel like he's as broken anymore. I don't ban him. I rather ban Nunu and Evelyn or Olaf, Lee Sin, than Master Yi. Honestly. I feel like those champions are more consistent than a Master Yi. Obviously, when a Master Yi get going, it's like, wow, 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 I hate him, but a lot of times it's like, yeah, whatever, he's trash. But when the other champions are more consistent, that's the thing that puts him into the S+ tier. Consistency. How good are they in 100 games? Almost every game they are really, really good. And how good are they in certain team compositions? In certain team compositions, Master Yi just gets countered super hard, but a Nunu works almost every time, and Olaf works almost every time, Evelyn as well, a very good piss-stomping snowballer. Fiora, I don't know. I think she's a strong S tier, but her consistency doesn't feel as good as the other champions anymore. I think it's the meta. There's so much crowd control. The hyper carries are very, very pain in the ass to deal with, because right now a lot of people are playing those hyper carry team compositions with I don't know, Lulu, Yumi are becoming super popular. Karma with a poke. You just get kited in a lot of team compositions. So Fiora's hyper carry potential is just slightly getting down. Vi with the buff, very, very solid jungler, great ganking potential, good in team fight and good ganker. Graves, great 1 vs 9 carry potential. Same downside as Fiora, that in some team comps he just struggles because he will get kited and poked down. So what's really popular right now that I'm seeing in the Europe server, poke compositions and hyper carry compositions. So you're playing against a Karma, against Seraphine, against Sona. They have a lot of crowd control. Then Lulu, Yumi with a Jinx Vayne hyper carry. It's becoming very hard for you to kill them or reach them, and you can lock them down. That's why I like those champions. Olaf runs them down. Evelyn just comes from behind, flanks and one-shot them. Same for Camille, can just lock them with the ultimate. But the Fiora, it's hard to reach them, and it's hard to just one-shot them. Next one, Jax, a good 1 vs 9 hyper carry, but the same downside as the other one. And he needs to scale, that's the issue. Jarvan, great at ganking, very, very solid teamfight orientated pick, and still a decent hyper carry himself. Okay, he's not the hyper carry, but he can carry decently, because his damage is pretty good. Then Rengar, great hyper carry, but he has the invisibility, he is a good hyper carry, but I don't feel his consistency is as good. I guess because he's too reliant on just the ultimate. The other champions are not that reliant on the ultimate, but Rengar always needs the ultimate to do something. Now Riven, great snowboarding champion, a great duelist, great at skirmishes, and great at snowboarding and carrying the game. She's just a very good and strong hyper carry 1 vs 9 champion. Darius is just so strong with the Death Dance. Same reason for Riven. Death Dance, Darius. I know he is not the greatest ganker, but he's just so strong in team fights, and he's just a very good hyper carrying champion. AP Gragas, very great consistency, good ganker, good playmaking potential with a dash, with the ultimate, and just super strong when it comes to consistent damage. Like, keep poking them down, and once you have 3 or 4 items, she just does so much damage. Next one is gonna be Xin Chao. Xin Chao, good team fight base champion, great crowd control, and decent ganking potential. So yeah, very similar to Vi and Jarvan. Diana in the jungle, I think she works pretty well because a lot of champions are just buying Death Dance and they're not buying that much magic resistance. So she is good if you guys want AP damage in the jungle, and she's overall a very good 1 vs 9 hyper carry. I always say hyper carry jungler, but that's the main point in solo queue. You want hyper carry champions. So if I'm just saying, oh wow, hyper carry, that just means they are good at just carrying games in solo queue. Jace, decent ganker, good poking damage, and overall good at carrying games. Sometimes, depends, because he's just squishy. He's not the typical assassin. He's like an ADC, and he's like a hybrid of ADC bruiser that has good poking damage. Morgana, teamfight based champion with great jungle clear, not the greatest ganker, and not the greatest 1 vs 9 hyper carry, because she's like a teamfight based champion. Wukong, teamfight based champion. I just feel like he doesn't have the same damage as the other champions like Vi, Xin Chao, or Jarvan. And they just gank better, and they're not too reliant on the ultimate. Like, Wukong's ultimate is pretty high compared to Vi ultimate or Jarvan or Xin Chao ultimate, and Jarvan can just gank left and right much easier than a Wukong, for example. Pantheon, great ganker, great snowballer, but he falls off so hard in the late game or mid game. Same issue with the Aurelia pick. I think she is a great duelist and she has a lot of playmaking potential, but she falls off in the mid and late game. So if you don't win by, I don't know, 12 minutes, you will struggle to win the game. Set in the jungle. His jungle clear is not that good. His ganking potential is okay. And his teamfight is solid. Cinch jungle. Honestly, it's a cheesy pick, but his ganking potential is pretty good. Mundo in the jungle, his jungle clear is shit. His ganking potential is okay. Fizz in the jungle, his jungle clear is shit. He is very weak in the early game, but if he gets going, he has great carry potential. Tryndamere is weak in the early game. He really needs to scale, but once he's scaling, he can be really good if you're not playing against a team comp with a lot of crowd control. Amumu is just so weak, just so weak, you can punish him very easily, and he's too reliant on the ultimate, and even if he has the ultimate, he doesn't feel as strong than other champions. And he doesn't have the hyper carry potential. Shyvana, she does have the hyper carry potential. She can be very good, but she's so reliant on having good teammates for those dragon team fights. And you always have to fight those dragon team fights because she needs those dragons to be strong. Rammus, he doesn't have the carry potential. He's too reliant on his teammates, and he's too reliant on snowboarding early on, and his jungle play is absolute dog shit. Same explanation for Shen. And yeah, let's go to mid lane. Karma is wow, I hate Karma. Karma is a must ban, in my opinion. She is just too overloaded. She has strong poke damage, she has a root, she has a shield, she has ally movement speed, she has the ultimate that covers the river, everyone is getting pulled in, they're getting knocked back. Too much damage, too much utility, just too good overall, and having Mantra on passive is just a joke, by the way. Diana, she's great duelist in the lane, and wow, she is a very good hyper carry champion in those team fights. Tons of damage and good carry potential. Katarina, I've seen so many Katarina challenger one-trick ponies, and I still think, I said before, wow, she's so good in low ranks. She's also good in high elo. She's so good in high elo. Her carry potential is insane. If you get one reset, boom, everyone else is dead. If you're good on her and you don't die in the early game, which you shouldn't do in the early game, to be fair, if you're not inting, then her carry potential in teamfights is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I hate her. And anything below Master, she is godly when it comes to 1v9 carry potential. Yasuo, high skill ceiling, but his carry potential is really, really insane. Wait, let me mute this. Wait, let me mute this real quickly. Oh. Never mind, my boy Health is writing me. He's sliding into those DMs. Yo, Health, what's up? Shout out to Health. Yeah, Yasuo is good. Yasuo is very good. I hate him. A good Yasuo player is... There are only a few people that are good on Yasuo, where I'm like, wow. But when I see them, I'm like, wow, 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 wow. Disgusting how broken this champion is, and disgusting how hyper carry you can... Like, how hard you can carry on this champion if you're good on him. 3 items, GG. 3 items. If you're not inting on Yasuo early game and you have 3 items, go next game. It's over. It's over. You lost. You lost. Too much damage. His wind wall is crazy. He's just flashing, pop, 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 and then he lands the Proto Belt, Airblade, Keyblade combo. Boom, you dead. He has a Rakan engage or Malphite ultimate. Boom, you dead. What do you do? Just cry, surrender. Go next. Next one is gonna be Aurelia. Aurelia, high skill ceiling champion, great duelist, great carry potential, but she kind of falls off in the late game. But overall, if you're proficient on her, she is an absolute beast on this patch right now. I think maybe by this time I already made the Aurelia video, so definitely check it out. Ziggs and Orianna, same explanations for those two champions. Great, great, great team fighting champions with tons of poking damage, and they can store the game forever. And they're very safe options, by the way. Ziggs, Fizz, oh my god, Fizz and Akali, good assassins with good carry potential. Yeah, that's about it. What else do I have to say? They're just great in teamfights if they get going. One shot, you dead, you're looking wrong, you're looking to the wrong direction, you dead. Galio, strong poking damage, good teamfight champion with good crowd control and the ultimate to roam left and right. Twisted Fate, great playmaker with great roaming potential with his ultimate. Boom left, boom right, ganking left and right. Next one, Jace, strong laner, very, very strong laner, good duelist. Good poking damage. He needs to scale, but once he's scaling, he's very, very hard to deal with. But he's kind of squishy. I mean, everyone's kind of squishy. Yeah. Forget it. Next one, Zed. Yeah, he got nerfed, but I still think he's a great duelist, great assassin, good damage in teamfight, good assassination potential, and great split push potential. Fiora is a very strong duelist in the lane and great at snowballing, rotating left and right, helping the jungler out. Great 1v9 carry potential, but teamfights are kind of hard for her right now. I feel like teamfights can be kind of tricky for her depending on the team comp you're facing. Next one is gonna be Akshan. Akshan Stormracer build. Maybe by the time you're watching, I already made the Akshan video. Hopefully, I tried to make Akshan. I think he is very, very good. He has that hyper carry potential, and the revive is just crazy. One of the best champions in the mid lane right now when it comes to laning. Good roaming potential, insane damage. The revive is good. Flanking potential with the second ability. Ahri, solid duelist in the lane. Great roaming potential, great pick of potential with the ultimate and the charms. Good play, like a playmaking. If you land one charm in a team fight, boom, that person is dead. You just made a 5 vs 4 just because you landed one charm. If you're good at landing charms, wow, she can be so good. Aurelion Soul, overall great in team fights, great roaming potential, and good crowd control. But he's not the greatest duelist and he's not the greatest snowballer. You need good macro on this champion. Garen mid lane, kind of falling off because of Sundra. Yeah, kind of falling off because of Sundra and the rise of ADCs, I guess. ADCs are becoming much more popular than before. And ADCs, obviously, hard carry ADCs just counter champions like Garen. Corki, solid mid laner. ADC, when it comes to dueling, he's okay. He's good in team fights. He's very good in team fights, but he will struggle into certain matchups when it comes to Azet, Akshan, Aurelia, Diana, and when it comes to damage-wise, I would say that Karma provides way more damage, or Ziggs Oriana provides way more damage, and doesn't get punished as hard when it comes to 1v1 than the Corki. Brand, same thing. Not the greatest roaming potential, and doesn't provide the same value of utility and damage like a Karma or Ziggs or Oriana. And he's pretty easy to kill, I would say, for assassins in the lane. Morgana. Good crowd control, good team fight. Not the greatest damage though. Not the greatest roaming potential. Not the greatest duelist. She's kind of weak early game. So you always have to play safe, clear the wave, and you might get out-roamed and the other laner will impact more than you. But in team fights, obviously, you have good value with your bind. Vega after the buff. He's weak in the early game. He really needs to scale. His roaming potential is bad. His team fight is okay. He has the cage, which got buffed. Lower cooldown now. So you can pick people more often. But yeah, the issue is just his laning phase and his scaling and his roaming potential compared to other champions. And overall, his damage output is not as good as... Not as consistent. I would say consistency is the issue. Consistency. Gragas. Just a solid laner, but doesn't do anything special, I feel like. He's overall a solid poking champion, but doesn't do as much damage, or... Like, Oriana and Ziggs will always out-damage the Gragas pick, for example. But he does have some good carry potential when it comes with the ultimate picking off people. Pantheon can snowball champions, can snowball overall in the early game, but... And if he snowballs, he can gank left and right with the ultimate. So that's good when it comes to Pantheon, but you need to snowball. If you don't snowball, you're really bad and you fall off in the mid and late game. Lucian, same explanation as for Corki, that he's an ADC that struggles into certain matchups and he might not be able to snowball. And there's I don't know. I just always feel like the consistency is the issue. Consistent damage and not getting punished when it comes to laning against assassins. And he can't roam against assassins. Kayle is really, really weak in the early game. She can never roam. She needs to scale. And it takes a lot of time for her to scale. Evelynn in the mid lane kind of tricky. You always want to clear the wave and then try to snowball in the... Clear the wave and then try to snowball left and right, trying to gank people. But if you don't snowball, you're really, really shit. Annie. Maybe I'm just gonna put A tier. Let's put Annie A tier. I've seen some Annie doing so much work. I think her playmaking potential is what I really like on her. She might not be the best laner, she might not be the greatest roamer, but she has very good pick-off potential with the Protobat ultimate or Flash ultimate. It's a great playmaker or game changer. A good Protobat ultimate, you can just catch 2-3 squishies and you just win the team fight. Honestly, her playmaking potential is easy to execute and can be a game changer. Cannon. He's just weak. Bad wave clear. Bad roam. Team fight, honestly not even that good. Seraphine. Bad roamer. Bad... she's just bad at snowboarding and trying to get the game going. Her damage output is also not that good in the mid lane. And she just gets countered by so many assassins in the mid lane. Obviously, she has the ultimate as a playmaking potential, but that's about it. Lux, she has the bind, she has the ultimate. She's a bad roamer. She sucks into a bunch of matchups where she just gets countered. And then she can't roam. But overall, she's a solid... she's okay. She's okay. She's easy to execute. And she has a solid poking damage. Sona, just everything that I don't like about mid laners. What do I want from a mid laner? I want you to clear the wave quickly. I want you to roam. I want you to have prio. I want you to gank left and right. I want you to have consistent damage overall. Maybe be a playmaker with good ultimates or good in teamfights. What? She is shit in the lane. She has shit wave clear. She can never roam. If she roams, she just gets punished and dies. Her team fighting is just press ultimate and that's it. I don't like her. That's my opinion. Next one, Dragon Lane. I kind of changed it. I am S plus tier is the champion that I hate the most. That it's unplayable for me. I just hate this champion. If I'm playing jungle, if I'm playing Baron lane, the number one ADC that I hate to play against is Vayne. A Vayne hyper carry. Wow, Vayne Lulu, Vayne Yumi. If Vayne gets going and she usually, if you play against enemy Vayne, they're always fat. They're always snowballing against champions that they shouldn't snowball or win early game, but they always do. And they are always hyper carrying. Vayne is just so hard to stop. Yeah, they nerfed Vayne, but she is still too broken. I hate her. Ban her. Her damage is too crazy. She counters bruiser champions. She counters tanks. It's very hard to kill her because she is one of the best 1v1 champions. 1v1, Vayne is probably gonna win it. She's just too strong. She is a great kiting champion as well. Try to reach her in those team fights. Try to reach her. If the enemy has two frontliners, if the enemy has a lot of crowd control and poking, wow, try to reach her. And let's say you're 4 melee champions that are tanky, or you don't have gap closing abilities, you can't kill her. You can't kill her and she just shits on you. So that's why I'm moving some champions from S plus tier just to S tier, because honestly, the only champion from ADCs that I need to ban, the other champions, I don't even care. It's like, yeah, they all are strong, but I need to ban Vayne because I fucking hate her. She's S plus tier. Okay, next one. Varus, strong poking champion, good team fight, very solid laner, pretty safe pick. Pretty and safe consistent pick with tons of damage. Caitlyn with the Stormrazor right now. Very strong in the early game, strong in team fight and good damage, and has great range advantage. Ziggs and Karma, same explanation for both. Or for Orianna as well. Those champions are strong APCs. If you guys have a melee champion in the mid lane and you guys want a consistent, strong early game mid or AP champion in the bot lane, go for Ziggs, Karma, and Orianna. They provide great damage in those team fights that pretty much rival ADCs in general. And they don't need to hyperscale like ADCs that need 2 or 3 core items. A mid laner or those AP champions just get going in the first team fight already. So if you guys need AP damage in the Dragon lane, then go for Ziggs, Karma, and Orianna because they provide tons of damage. I think APCs are more popular in high elo than in low elo, but I mean you can make them work in low elo as well. It doesn't really matter. But I think high elo players appreciate APCs more than low elo because low elo players are like, we need ADCs! ADCs do damage! But yeah, those champions do tons of damage as well, and they're very safe options. Jhin, after the buff with the Stormrazor, is very strong early game champion that also does good damage in the late game now. Kai'Sa, I mean, these champions all have the same explanation. Kai'Sa, strong ADC, good damage, good playmaking potential. Xayah, very strong, consistent pick with tons of damage and great self-P with the ultimate and the feathers. Lucian, Corki. Lucian has tons of mobility, good at kiting and great damage. Corki has insane teamfight potential with this package. He's one of the best teamfighting ADCs. He does tons of damage as well. From early game and late game, he's just overall every time. He's just a very strong and solid pick. Jinx, a very good hyper carry champion, especially in combination with Yumi or Lulu. And her early game is much better now with the Stormrazor in comparison to before. Draven, early game, strong snowballing pick, but with a charge blade. Without the charge blade, he isn't as strong as before. Ezreal, strong champion, good poking champion, but he needs to scale 3 items. That's the downside. Misfortune, strong in the early game, good in the laning phase, decent in team fights, but she just falls off in the mid and late game in comparison to those hyper carries right now. Tristana, very strong hyper carry with a Stormraiser right now that makes her early game better, but she still needs to scale in comparison to other champions to get going. Ashe, she got nerfed. I don't think she's that good anymore. She's weak. She does have bad mobility. She does have the ultimate as a playmaking tool, so that's it. Brand and Morgana as APCs. I don't think it's too easy to make them work in solo queue compared to competitive. Brand, lack of mobility, and you need the right front line. And I feel like these champions are much more safer than the Brand. Because Brand needs the front line much. I don't know. I feel like they have more range. That's the advantage. They have more range. It's harder to reach them than a Brand. And Morgana just doesn't have the same damage as those champions. She just has the bind and the. She just has the bind and second ability. That's about it. Senna, ADC, just so weak. Like her damage output is just, in comparison to those carry champions, her damage is just lackluster. Vega APC is just completely shit dog shit damage and really needs to scale. Akshan is int. I hate Akshan ADC because of the range advantage. Like these champions have way more range, and you just get outranged by those champions, and you don't carry as hard. So in team fights, he is pretty like his damage output. If you get poked down, like the other champions have way more range than you can't reach them. Like you can't pull out your damage consistency because you always need to come closer than the other champions to do damage. And then if you come close, you just get punished by assassins or bruisers that are gonna jump onto you. Let's go to support. I kind of moved it in this time. Karma and Yumi are the most broken supports right now that I always ban. Karma, tons of damage, tons of crowd control, great Droma. Same explanation like I said in the mid lane, but in the support role she's just as good as in the mid lane. Yumi, hey, last time I said, yeah, in solo queue she is not as good, but honestly I hate her. Yumi in high elo, I mean, yeah, you could say, yeah, in low elo, wow, if your ADC is shit, you can make him work, but wow, in high elo, she's just, I need to ban her. She just provides too much healing, too much mobility, and wow, it's a pain in the ass to play against Yumi, especially against a Vayne Yumi combo or Yumi Olaf, Yumi Jax, Yumi Jinx or something. If the hyper carry she's attached on is not a monkey, then it's just too hard to deal with. Too much healing, too much mobility, and she also has great crowd control with her ultimate. You guys will say, but in low elo it doesn't work, my teammates are so bad, but honestly you could say the same for any enchanters. My teammates are bad, I enchant them, it doesn't matter. It's just if you have a good teammate, let's say you have a good teammate, she's just too good as an enchanter. If you have a bad teammate, it doesn't matter which enchanter you're on, it doesn't matter, right? Because your teammate is just bad and they are not going to carry you. But that's the same downside on every enchanter. But Yumi is just one of the best enchanters when it comes to crowd control, damage, and utility she provides. Lulu, I moved her up because hyper carries are becoming better with the Stormraiser buff. They're scaling easier. Like in the early game, they're already stronger than beforehand. So a lot of hyper carries are becoming popular. And Lulu plus hyper carry is just a crazy combo. Let's say Lulu Jinx, Lulu Vayne is just too strong. I hate it. I need to ban them. Lulu Vayne, wow. Lulu Vayne, 3 items, the game is over. You are not gonna win it anymore. Alistar, great. Alistar, Rakan, and Thresh, great playmaking potential, good at roaming, good at catching people, great crowd control, and very good in team fights. Gragas, I'm thinking if I should move down Gragas right now. I mean, he's Gragas versus Galio and Leona. I mean, they're not that much different, to be honest. Gragas, great playmaking potential with his dash. He's super tanky as well. He has the ultimate to pick off people. The advantage of like an Alistar is his cooldown is very low. His ultimate makes him super tanky. Rakan has also insane playmaking potential, good mobility, and the cooldown is just lower. Gragas' ultimate, it's not that high to be fair. And let's keep it for now like this. Jenna, a solid enchanter with great peeling and decent crowd control. Galio, good playmaker with a taunt. The taunt is not that reliant to hit sometimes. It's not as easy to hit like a WQ combo like from Alistar or Rakan. And Thresh is one of the best roaming playmakers. Leona, she just, I don't know. She has the stun, she can gap close, it's a single target stun. She has the ultimate to stun multiple people. But I feel like Alistar roams and it's easier to execute his roaming and he's more tanky and his combo just hits more people. Braum, decent peeler with his shield, he can block poke. He has the ultimate as a playmaking tool. His laning phase is okay-ish. He has a stun if you hit it on one single target though. Seraphine. I'm actually moving Seraphine and Sona up just because I don't know if you know Trottles, but he's like a solo queue enchanter. Like he's a solo queue challenger in the top 10 right now, playing Sona and Seraphine mostly. And I don't know how he's making it work, but he just does so much damage with them. He roams a lot, and those champions are pretty solid in teamfights with their ultimate. Maybe it's just player difference. Maybe it's just player difference and not the champion itself. Good poking damage. I think those champions are just like better carry potential. Like you do damage. I mean, I know you support. I like to go for support with support champions that do a lot of damage. That's why Karma's also pretty good. And just way much utilities. Lux. Decent poke, decent peel. Doesn't provide the greatest utility. And she's really reliant to have a frontline, to be honest. Shen, weak early game. He has his taunt, but he's really not that tanky. That, I would say he's weak early game, and he is not that great as a support, because he's not that tanky as a support, because you really need gold to be tanky. Morgana, you just have the binding, nothing more. And that's about it. You just have the bind. You need to hit the bind. You're so reliant on hit the skill shot as a support, as a peel, and as a playmaking tool. Compared to like Alistar, just press WQ, easy life, knock up 4 people. And he's also very, very tanky. Singed. Leo17, credits to him. I've played Singed and he told me he's pretty good cheesy pick against enchanters because he has great catching potential with the protobelt hook or protobelt fling. He's tanky, he scales really well, he's weak early game, but he's good at cheesing. Annie, actually great playmaking potential with her protobelt ultimates. She's actually, as a solo queue support, she has good carry potential. She's actually weak in the early game. She might not be the greatest roamer, but if you have good map awareness and you land a good protobelt ultimate, you can do a lot. You can do a lot of value in teamfights. Soraka, kinda weak. I don't really like Soraka. She just provides healing. That's about it. Doesn't provide the greatest utility. That's why I don't like her. Amumu, Malphite, very shit in the early game, and the only thing they have, press ultimate. That's about it. After that, you can't do anything anymore. Pantheon, a cheesy pick in the support role. If you get going, you can snowball, but if you don't snowball, you are absolutely shit. That doesn't provide anything in teamfights. Mundo doesn't provide anything. He's just a meat shield. He's just tanky. He doesn't have really good crowd. He just has this Q for a little bit of slow. Yeah, Q, yeah, I use my bail to slow you down, that's what it. Senna. Good. I mean, Senna is shit. Every Senna... What did I say? Good. Good at being shit. Senna players are so shit, I hate them. As an enchanter, they're completely useless. Doesn't provide you with anything. Every time I have a Senna support, they're completely shit. They pick it into the wrong team comp, and they don't do anything. Blitzcrank, they are also shit. They don't know how to hook, and they're hooking wrong people. Yes, some Blitzcrank players can do some good work by hooking champions, like they hook and land on an ADC. Wow, nice, thank you. But majority of Blitzcrank players are so bad, so yeah, I hate those two. I don't necessarily. It's not necessarily the champion. It's the player base that are so shit at those two champions that I don't want to see them. F tier for those two champions. Don't play them. Don't play them. But yeah, that's about it for the tier list. Wow, that's so long. I talked so long about those two champions, about the tier list for patch 3.1. I hope you appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. So smash the like button, subscribe, activate notifications, and I see you next time. Professor Breaker is heading out. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. I see you next time. Bye bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.